Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Prime Podcast. Guys, if you're listening on Spotify, please don't forget to rate us 5 stars. All the little reviews that might seem very small to you guys mean the absolute world to me and everyone else that's involved in the podcast here at the Prime Potty. So we really, really appreciate the support. So don't forget to rate it 5 star. Don't forget to follow along. If you're watching it on YouTube, then make sure you subscribe. But yeah, please do all those things because it means the absolute world to all of us involved at the Prime Potty, and it really helps us continue to keep making these episodes, keep doing the Q&As, keep getting obviously answers for you guys, but then obviously as well getting lots of great guests on the potty each week. So every little bit of support means the world to us. Today, what we're going to go through is a little bit of information, I think, about training like an athlete, how that all works, kind of how it all started at the start, because Prime Train never was based around AFL or footy. That was kind of my passion, and that's, I guess, where it ended up going towards. But initially, Prime Train started off, if you're an OG, it was on TikTok, and I was pretty much just posting athlete workouts, and I still continue to try and post as much of that stuff as I possibly can, but other things come in, like obviously I play a lot of footy, so it's easy to make content on that. Obviously really enjoy my clothing and fitness wear and athletic wear and that sort of stuff as well. So I also like to produce content, and then obviously you got to make sales as well at the end of the day. So I do a lot of that sort of stuff, and that takes up a lot of content. So I love getting back to kind of the roots, and obviously out of school, I went and became a personal trainer initially, and that was how it all began, and my passion for, I guess, training people. My passion for training people come from when I started training my youngest sister. She was going to boarding school, and she started to put on a few extra kilograms, and she was like, "Tom, please help me out, give me a training program, and we can go from there." And I said, "Absolutely, Belle, let's do it." And pretty much gave her a training program, and she started to see results, not only mentally, but physically as well. And that completely changed her life, and I got to see that firsthand. So that kind of changed my viewership of how I was going to approach the world and how I was going to change the world, hopefully, and how I could affect as many people as possible. So that's how it all began, and then started kind of doing group classes. I worked at F45 and Fit Stop and those sort of places, and kind of, again, got to see firsthand how much of a difference it could make on people when they got to see a change in their body and a massive change in their mental health as well, because mentally it's so important to keep yourself physically fit because you'll just see so many results. So that's kind of where it all began for me. And then I really enjoyed kind of the group classes and training Gen Pop, but for me, I was always an athlete, never a really good one, but I was always passionate about being an athlete and passionate about that way of training, and that's kind of the way that I trained all the way through my younger years. So that's kind of where it all began for me, where I kind of switched this thing in my head, and I was like, I want to train and post content on athletes and training like an athlete, and obviously train professional athletes. That was kind of like my end goal. And that's kind of where I wanted to take my journey and take my business. And it all started on TikTok, and I started posting different exercises that a lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't know if you should be doing this. I don't know if you should be doing that." But some of it was controversial. Most of it was true. And I was learning as well at that time about what is the best way to go about training like an athlete, and what the best exercises are, and what the best way to split it up is. And I still 100% am learning, and I don't know the secret sauce as of yet, but I am definitely on my way, I think, and going along a really positive path with the way that I'm training different athletes. So we had a fantastic amount of athletes and pro athletes over the last 2 years that I was training, and I think that training like an athlete is something that I want to go into today with you guys, and kind of give you guys a little bit of an idea of how to split up your week, how to split up your month, how to split up different micro cycles of your training, because then you can really start to get the maximum amount of benefits out of your training and when you go to the gym. So I guess that training like an athlete means, and sport-specific training as well, means that you're training so you can meet the demands of your sport when you get out onto the field. So if you're sport-specific training, you want to get the most amount out of every time that you go to the gym. So if you're training for boxing, let's say, for example, your training will be very, very different to that of an AFL player. Now, why would you say that? Like, a lot of people come out and they say sport-specific training isn't real, it's this, it's that, but it is 100% real, because the demands of every sport is very, very, very different. And I can assure you that playing a whole heap of different sports, I've gone from kind of swimming, running, athletics, I've done gymnastics, I've done soccer, I've done AFL, I've done a whole heap of these different sports. And I can assure you that to meet the demands of these sports, you need to be training in the gym very differently to each other. So I guess that what I wanted to get in today specifically was really trying to hit some kind of ideas around training that are really going to benefit you guys. And I hope that this resonates with all you guys. And I really hope that it, that you get something out of it, kind of a little bit more of an educational podcast than anything else. So we'll start off with how I like to program different athletes and kind of like a framework that I like to use, especially for my AFL athletes. So I think that the best way to start with any program is beginning your first week. Let's say that you're going to do an 8-week program. Like, this is kind of the framework of what you want to set up. You can either buy a training program, or you can kind of set this up for yourself and set up the framework. So the first week, let's go on an 8-week program. The first week, you want to be kind of setting up your main lifts. Now, that might be a half-depth squat. It might be a bench press. It could be a deadlift. It could be one of those exercises, or it could be something like a shoulder press, or even like how many single leg squats can you kind of do just with your body weight. Or it could be a goal. Let's say it's 1 chin-up. It could be 1 pull-up. It could be something like that as well. So you can kind of set your goals at the beginning and then kind of write down exactly how many reps that you're getting at the beginning of your 8-week program. And that's really going to set you up for goal setting throughout the program that you can start to hit. Once you get to the 8th week, you can say, my goal at week 1 was to hit this many chin-ups or this many pull-ups, and I haven't quite hit it. So this is what I need to do for the next 8 weeks. Or you do hit it in the 8 weeks, fingers crossed, and then you can go and set another goal. It might be to do 2 chin-ups. It might be to do 2 pull-ups. It might be 25 single leg squats. It could be whatever you want it to be. So I think that that's the best way to set it up. Now, inside that first week, you're going to obviously have different training principles that you want to hit, and then different athletic capabilities as well that you want to hit. So when you're training in the gym, you're trying to hit, you've got strength, you've got endurance, you've got power, you've got agility, you've got speed. All of these things kind of, you've got balance, I guess, as well. And then you kind of get your prehab, rehab sort of stuff. So you've got all these things that you want to be able to hit. You could include kind of core in there as well. So there's all these things that you want to hit in a week at the gym. And you're like, I want to hit all of these things. Like, how can I manage to do it, in 1 week? But it's probably better to look at it over 2 weeks, and you can kind of set it up like that. So let's have a look. Like, this will be a week of kind of what my training program looks like. On a Monday, I'll go to the gym. I'll kind of do a full body day, 2 exercises of lower body, 2 exercises of upper body, and then 2 exercises of core, and then some single leg strength. So there, what have we got? 2, 4, 6. We got 7 exercises, and then we got a bit of a warm up there as well. So not like a crazy amount. I'll be looking at in the first week, I'll probably just go for 3 reps of everything. But then if you move to the second week, you kind of be looking at kind of doing 6 to 8 reps of everything. So the first week, 3 reps, so you can hit your 3 rep max. You can get an idea of where you are, and then on week 8. It'll look very similar to week 1. So you'll again go back to your 3 rep max and try and hit those goals that you set in week 1. We might look at a Tuesday. That might be football training. If you're training, you probably don't have to be doing a double workout that day. If you want, you could do some bodyweight training in the morning, or maybe jump on a bike and do some cardio. That sort of stuff can really work in easily. And then focus on hitting your training as well. So that's a good way to set up your Tuesday. If you're training on the Tuesdays, or if you're training on the Monday, Wednesday, for example, then you can kind of switch around those days. Wednesday, go back to kind of a full body day, I'll like to do kind of 3 exercises of upper body, 2 exercises of lower body, and then maybe include some arms in there as well, because we all love to go to the gym. We all love to do a little bit of arms as well in there. So you like to do some biceps and some triceps if you want. And it's always fun. It's always more enjoyable. You don't just want to be going to the gym and being monotonous, doing the exact same thing over and over again. It can just get so boring. So it's not something that you want to do. I like to change it up, chop and change as much as possible. So if we look on the Wednesday, I might do some bench press, maybe some row, and then include some kind of different athletic variables in there as well. If you want to look at kind of some athletic movements that I do, definitely check out the Instagram. Go through and kind of save a few workouts throughout there. I like to chuck them on the reels. Let's go Thursday. Then we can, again, go back to our footy training. If we want to do something in the morning, you can do some body weight sort of training. Again, like I said before, maybe go for a swim, do some, you go sauna or something as well. That could be a fantastic workout for you to do on the Thursday. Then on the Friday, it's your day before game day. You kind of just want to do some bodyweight sort of stuff. Again, maybe include some arms if you want, but mainly just kind of priming yourself for Saturday, which would be game day. Then on Saturday, you probably don't want to be doing anything. You want to be focusing on going and probably playing to the best of your ability. And then that's kind of all you want to focus on, no gym sort of stuff. So you've pretty much got there 3 to 5 days where you can go to the gym from Monday to Friday. And then that's all trial and error. If you like going to the gym on the Friday, you can go to the gym. If you don't have to. And then if you look at week 2, like I said, you'll up the ante. You'll probably go to 6 reps for most things. It'll be a similar sort of structure. So Tuesday, Thursday, you get into that routine of just going to footy training. But then it will be quite similar. You're looking at full body days on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then you could start to include some core, some jumping sort of stuff as well, some speed stuff there as well. You can start to include power, balance, all these type of things are going to help you to be a better athlete. I really enjoyed just doing a power day, grabbing a med ball and just like chucking it against a wall a few times. Med ball slams, you can do rotational slams, all that sort of stuff. Power can be extremely beneficial for you guys. I think especially young athletes, it's so important and often a forgotten part of training. But that's kind of the setup of how I like to set up a training week. And I always get this question from so many people. They're like, how do I set up my training week? How do I, X, Y, and Z, how do I do it? Like, I don't have the money for a program. So yeah, jump on, kind of have a look at that, listen to this potty obviously, and that'll give you a little bit of a framework of how I kind of set it up. And I really like to do as well a full body workouts, especially in season. When I'm out of season, I can kind of chop and change a little bit more, but in season, I really do enjoy focusing on unilateral stuff. So single arm, single leg. That is going to be so beneficial. And I think that training like an athlete for me has always meant unilateral exercises. So if you're, if you're jumping, make it a single leg. If you're going to be, doing any sort of pressing, it's really good to do single arm sort of press, landmine presses, that sort of stuff with a single arm, because a lot of the time in any sport that you play, it's generally going to be unilateral. When you're running, it's unilateral. So it's all going to be single limb stuff. And it also makes you figure out any deficiencies that you might have in your body, because sometimes you might lift a lot more on your left leg than you do on your right leg, or vice versa. And you're going to look at yourself and you're going to be like, oh man, like I'm so much stronger on this leg. Or you find a lot in your arms, like if you're doing like single arm bicep curls or something like that, you'll figure out obviously that your most prominent arm is going to be stronger than your less prominent. So it's really good to figure out those deficiencies and make sure that your body is all around a working machine, a well-oiled working machine, and then you'll play like a machine on the weekend. So that's pretty much just a bit of a framework that I like to go through. And if you have any questions, then obviously chuck it up or flick me a DM. If you guys are interested in getting the programs or have any interested in any of the Prime products, make sure you go check out the website. You can use the code podcast to get 20% off. We've obviously got the Prime Unwind tees. We've got we've got the SUPs, which are coming back in stock as well, which has just been a hectic ride. I love the SUPs, and everybody out there does as well. So I think that they're fantastic products. So make sure you get your hands on them. Code podcast to get 20% off. We've obviously got all the merch as well. The merch just sells like crazy. It's hotcakes, baby. So make sure you go jump on that and grab that stuff as well. Now, that is pretty much a wrap for the first half of the potty. Hope that that all makes sense to you. I'm going to throw it over to my amazing podcast producer, Keelan, who is going to help me now through a few Q&As with you guys, because I do get a lot of Q&As from the people. So hopefully Keelan can pick out a few and I can elaborate on a few. We've got 2 lots of Q&As. We had some come in yesterday, and then we've got some this morning that are more focused on training and fitness sort of stuff. So, Keelan, how are you, my friend, firstly?
I'm good.
Good?
I'm good.
That's what I like to hear. It's good. My mouth is getting dry after that 20-minute monologue. So shoot away, my friend. Have you got any good Q&As for me?
First one comes from Gilbert. He says, any advice on becoming a hybrid athlete, building bodybuilding and long-distance running?
Oh, good question. So bodybuilding and long-distance running is going to be it's an interesting one to kind of mash together. But if anyone does it very, very well, it's probably my good friend Louis Phillips. He's probably a better person to ask than I am. But I guess that what I do is very similar to that. Like, obviously go to the gym probably 3 to 5 times a week. And then I'm also working to be the best possible endurance athlete that I possibly can be. So I think that you have to look at yourself and say, what is kind of my end goal? Do I want to be more of a bodybuilder, or do I want to be more of a long distance runner? Or do I want to be smack bang right in the middle? Because if you want to be smack bang right in the middle, you can't be 100 kilos and also be a very, very good long distance runner. You're going to have to find that happy medium of kind of being in that athletic physique. So you want to have high muscle mass. You want to have low body fat. I think that the perfect way to measure where you want to be is to be, so I'm 186 centimeters and I'm about 83, 84 kilos. I think that if you've got 100 difference between like your kilos and your centimeters, does that make sense? So like if you're 190 centimeters, you want to be around that 90 kilo mark, I reckon, and mostly muscle mass. Then you can definitely, that's just like a nice number that I like to go for. In terms of being that hybrid athlete, like you just got to do everything by the book, I guess. You've got to try and hit the gym probably 4 times or 3 times a week, and then probably run 3 times a week. So you got to, again, smack bang in the middle. If you want to be more of a bodybuilder, then you're probably going to go for 4 times a week gym, 2 times a week running. If you're looking at your nutrition's going to have to be probably that high protein diet and also high carb diet, medium level of fats, because if you're going to be a super long distance runner, then you're going to eventually use all your carbs and probably jump into your fat stores when you're going for those long distance runs. So you want to kind of have that happy medium. I think in the middle, you probably want to be aiming for 2,500 calories on your gym days, and then maybe 3,000 to 3,500 calories on your running days. So you've got that little bit of extra energy to hit your runs and then to recover after your runs as well. So finding that happy medium is difficult with those 2 things, but you definitely have to choose where you want to be more in that kind of, I guess, on that spectrum of more of a bodybuilder, more of a long distance runner, or do you want to be smack bang in the middle? And then you can kind of start to answer those questions afterwards for yourself. I actually got a question the other day, or someone commented on the YouTube. They said, Keelan, it's a bit rough that Keelan gets no,
saw that.
he gets no camera time.
Yeah.
I felt bad. But Keelan, do you want more camera time?
It's fine. I'm more than happy not to be on camera.
Just check it. Otherwise we're in trouble. He sets up the camera, so if he wants more camera time, it's up to him. My friend, what's next?
Braden asks, who is your favourite player from Bombers and why?
It'd have to be James Hird.
Oh, currently.
Well, long time or vintage, it'd have to be James Hird. But currently, this is a difficult question. Currently, who is my favourite player? Honestly, I love them all at the moment. That's such a media answer, though. That's not a good answer. I want to give you guys what you want, and you want my favourite player. Difficult question. who was my favorite player in the Dons? Ooh, honestly, after in his recent form this year, like Nick Martin has been on fire. I don't know if he's my favorite though. Brandon Zerk Thatcher is the most underrated key defender in the AFL. I know Tom Hawkins kicked 10 on him at one stage this year, and that was difficult, but the Cats were absolutely smacking us. But he has been such a revelation for our side because we've just needed that kind of tall defender, and he's a superstar. So Zerk Thatcher is, I reckon, he's probably our most valuable player at the moment at the Bombers. Without him, I think that our tall stocks in defence are a little bit limited. And favourite player, it's hard to go past. Everyone loves a key forward that kicks lots of goals. So we've got Peter Wright. I love Caldwell. I love Draper. And probably if I have to have a favourite, I'm going to go with two. And because they've both been potty guests. Matt Guelphy and Ben Hobbs. Can't go past those boys. They're the absolute brothers. So shout out to Guelph and shout out to Hobbsy. I know they listen every week. So definitely they'd be top two.
Great. So this one's kind of a two-question question. Mm-hmm. How do you help your mental health? And when you're in a mental health slump, how do you remotivate yourself?
Awesome. Good question. And believe it or not, I can actually speak on this because I probably was in a bit of a mental health struggle after I got injured, because I kind of looked at myself and I was like, this is like my whole kind of content is based around footy at the moment. Like a lot of things that I do is based around being active. Like how am I going to keep doing my job, producing content? How am I going to continue to be happy when like my happiness is being taken away from me? And that was like my, appreciation and gratitude for kind of being healthy. And that was like super difficult. It was a super difficult time. I think people forget sometimes you're actually allowed to feel sad. Like you're allowed to feel depressed. And just because you feel depressed doesn't mean you have depression. Like you're allowed to feel depressed. Like I felt depressed after I got injured. Like that's a normal feeling to have. You're 100% allowed to feel that feeling. But I guess that what you want to get out of that is you want to bounce back from it. And I think that I felt depressed for probably 3 or 4 days after I was injured. And then I was like, all right, well, feeling sorry for myself isn't going to get me anywhere. It's not going to do anything for me. I'm never going to get any better if I just continue to kind of be this sad person. So first point of call, I went and had dinner with my mates and kind of gets my mind off it, gets me out of the house, puts a bit of a smile on my face. And then the next day I set goals. I said, I'm going to do this, 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 and this. And I woke up with the mindset that I'm going to do something today and get me out of bed. Got up first thing in the morning, had some pre-workout, straight to the gym, hit it. I know I couldn't do what I normally can do, but I could jump on the bike, do some cardio, do a little bit of upper body sort of stuff, could barely walk, but that's what I did. And I was like, well, sometimes you just got to snap out of it, and you're allowed to feel down. That is so fine. It just doesn't mean you have to feel like that at all times. So you got to snap out of it at some stage, get around good mates, get around good people, set some goals for the next day, get back in the gym, get back to being healthy, get back to being fit, get back to what you were doing before, and you'll start to see your life turn around very, very quickly.
Why the hair color change?
Why the color hair? Good question. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's actually a good question. I don't know. It's just getting a bit bored with it. So I've had the blonde hair for a while now, and I like to go kind of darker for the winter. So I'm going back to kind of my dark, normal coloured hair. This is my natural colour. Might look a bit ridiculous. You're probably looking at me on the YouTube at the moment. If you're watching on the YouTube, you're probably like, what's going on here? If you're listening on the Spotify, go check it out on the YouTube if you haven't seen already. But yeah, I've kind of gone back to my natural dark brown colour, and we'll roll with that for a little bit. It'll probably wash out pretty quickly because it's all bleached underneath, but it was starting to get a bit overgrown and a little bit gross. So yeah, I've decided to do this, and I like changing it up. I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, why did I do it? And I like changing it up. I like doing things a bit different, and I like, I don't know, exploring the boundaries. So we've done this. Who knows? Who knows what's next?
Thoughts on Archie Perkins?
Archie Perkins, Jet, Gun, Roo, and Roo, superstar, and just a part of just playing his role in the Dons team, who are, in my opinion, we don't want to go too far, but I think that we could win our first final in 20 years. So I've got my fingers crossed for the boys.
HDog63 asks, as a 13-year-old, what is the best way to get better?
Firstly, I love his name.
HDog63.
HDog63, legend. Great question. I guess in terms of what? Like, guys, with your questions, you have to be a little bit more specific in what you actually mean. I think he means footy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say he means footy. So if he means footy, I guess the best way to get better is training, bro. Like, you just have to do it. You got to get around, and it doesn't have to be training. Like, just go kick the footy with your mates at lunchtime. Go kick the footy with your mates at recess. Make sure you get to training early. Work on your craft. Work on what you need to do. I wish I started training when I was 13. I wish I started to realise how important training was when I was 13. But I just probably didn't understand it, and I think that it set me back a few years. So yeah, I wish that I knew that earlier, and I think that you can benefit a lot from it.
Angela asks, what shampoo do you use?
I don't know. She's my missus shampoo, so I don't know, just whatever's in the shower. No idea. Ask her.
What is your recovery process?
Recovery process after a game, I love to get into an ice bath. That's always super beneficial. I think for just makes my legs feel elite, gets rid of the lactic acid. Like, I feel 100%. And I wouldn't do that after just a gym session, only after a game. But in terms of just a general recovery during the week, I love to go for a swim, go for a sauna. Any of those type of things is super beneficial. But the most important thing is eating good food and sleeping your 8 hours. They're probably the most important things.
Going off that, how do you sleep? What's your sleep hygiene like?
Good question. I think that sleep is literally the most important thing, probably in fitness and health. Like, it is more important than nutrition. It's more important than, is it maybe more important than, it's definitely more important than training. Like, without sleep, your training actually doesn't reap the rewards or doesn't get the benefits that it should. For me, dude, I wear my Whoop band, and I absolutely love that. It's fantastic for getting any of my sleep scores. It's fantastic for my recovery percentages every day. It'll give me a daily strain as well, so it lets me know how hard I should be training each day. Whoop bands are literally they're probably one of the best things that you could get your hands on. The data and analytics of these Whoop bands are incredible. So if you haven't already got one, make sure that you do. You can use my link, which is in either YouTube description or just in the Spotify description as well. So make sure you get your hands on them. I wear it every day. I absolutely froth it. So we always compare in the house who's got the better Whoop recovery score each morning. And sometimes, I think I'm 50-50. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But definitely good to get your hands on, so make sure you go check them out. You can actually use them in-game as well, which I really, really enjoy, so I can get a really good score, high strain. But yeah.
Aliva asks, how do you deal with the hate playing the sport you love?
Great question. We'll end on this one. I think that it's hard, but I obviously know it's going to come, so I'm kind of prepared for it. One of my teammates come up to me after the game. He goes, I don't know how you deal with it, bro. It's pretty, he hates seeing it as well, kind of from the outside. And I don't know, it gets to a point for me where I'm I just have to deal with it. Do I like it? No. Do I wish it never happened? Yes, but it's just the world that I live in, unfortunately, and it's the way that I've gone about it. And footy is one of the most toxic sports to make content on, and I cop a lot of it. But at the end of the day, I don't really want it to stop. I think that it's good for the game. I think that it brings people to the game. People love coming and shouting abuse over it. It's not something you're going to change. Sometimes it does go over the line. That's okay. It's just educating people that when you do go over the line, I think that it takes it a little bit too far. But that's all right. I do enjoy it. I do enjoy it at the end of the day, and it makes for good content when I go back and slaughter goals, so that's for sure. Ladies and gents, that is a wrap. I hope that you guys enjoyed another episode of the Prime Potty. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, please make sure you jump down and follow the potty, give us 5 stars, do all that sort of stuff, because it does mean the absolute world to me and everyone else involved at the Prime Potty. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate everything you guys do.